You know, I used to think that I was a victim in my story until I came to realize the truth, that I am the creator of my story. I choose what type of person I will be, and I choose the type of impact that I will leave on others. And I want both these things to be very positive. I am an example of poverty to possibility, of making opportunities out of obstacles. An opportunity is often missed by most people because it's dressed in overalls and looks like hard work. But you know what they say, sometimes you don't get to see an opportunity until it stops being one. A few years ago, I was homeless, broke, and unemployed. I learned a lot of things over the years, including that I didn't like being homeless, broke, and unemployed very much. But life isn't about holding good cards, is it? It's about playing a poor hand well. And somehow, I managed to play my poor hand well enough to build an award-winning business, become an inspirational speaker, and share my story with audiences across the globe. My past was such an embarrassment for me, I never openly spoke about where I came from. So then how did I get my story to be public and into the media, and how did I get to be here today? Well, let me take you back to when I won the YWCA Woman of Distinction Award for Entrepreneur Innovator. I didn't have an acceptance speech prepared because, quite frankly, I was pretty happy just being a finalist. After my name was called as being the winner, I made my way on stage and then to the podium where I accepted the Oscar-like statue, saying, "Thank you." I looked around the room and I could tell that the 1,200 plus attendees expected me to have something more profound to say at the podium than just that. After all, I had won over presidents of colleges, Order of Canada recipients, and very powerful pink shirt executives. As I stood there, I thought about the fabulous dinner we had all just eaten, and how everyone was dressed up in designer clothes, and how most people there would probably be staying the night in the expensive, luxurious hotel, probably ordering room service in the morning. And so I thought some more, and I added, well, this sure beats being homeless, broke, and eating out of garbage cans, and I laughed. The huge room became so quiet you could hear a pin drop. What did happen is the media picked up my story, my speaking career was launched, I got a book deal, Hollywood came knocking, and the rest is still history in the making. To say that we were poor is an understatement. I used to dream about having lots of new dresses. I'd go into department stores and I'd be mesmerized by all the fabulous dresses there. My parents could never afford to buy me any of those things. So when the sales clerk wasn't looking, I used to cut off all the beautiful buttons with a little pair of scissors, and I'd put those buttons in my pocket. When I got home, I'd find some crayons or broken pencils, and I'd draw the dresses from memory that the buttons came from. And I would mix flour and water together, and I'd glue the buttons on the dresses. And I used to dream about where I would wear all of those outfits when I was older. And buttons held things together. Little buttons could easily do what my parents couldn't.
You don't need them mine.
When I ran home from school one day crying, having been beaten up yet again, my father, who was drunk, told me that I needed to learn karate to defend myself. So he showed me how by karate chopping my 8-year-old neck so hard that it knocked me out. When I was 5, my dad broke my nose, and he wasn't even drinking. He was so mean when he was sober, I eventually learned to only talk to him when he was drunk. And on the last day of school in one class, a teacher said to me, "I doubt you'll get far in life talking all the time, chatty Cathy. You're destined for nothing." I wanted to change everything about myself for most of my life. I thought that if I could change enough of the exterior, somehow I would be transformed into a beautiful person where someone would actually love and care about me for being me. I decided to go back to school and get my high school equivalency and then make something of myself. I thought about becoming a veterinarian or a doctor and, aim high, right? I wanted to do something with my life where people would respect me and I could also help them. So I started university as a mature student at the age of 30. It took me about 5 years to get my high school equivalency, and I was still short a few credits. So I forged university transcripts to get into medical school. I promised myself that after I was a doctor, I would never do a wrong thing ever again in my life. I just wanted a chance because I always felt the odds were against me. I got into medical college the first time that I applied, and of course I had near perfect admittance averages. I received a registered letter from the dean of the medical college saying that they knew I had embellished my transcript. So I did what I always do when the heat got too hot. I fled. And along the way, I hooked up with a lot of shady characters, including the mob, who had me start up and work in escort agencies for them. When I got shot at by pimps on the tracks while trying to recruit the prostitutes for the escort agencies that I set up, I wasn't scared enough to bolt. But when the mob threatened my life by saying that I was stealing off of them when I felt it was more like borrowing, well, I ran again. So broke and homeless, living out of my car with my 2 dogs, I heard my uncle's voice in my head telling me that I could never be anything more than a prostitute. So that's what I continued to do. But at the same time, I also managed to get a job selling dental implants, still trying to change my life around and go the straight and narrow.
Just having someone like Cathrine here has changed lives of people here in the room.
It's the best speech.
Yeah, I'm serious. Like, it caught my attention. I was like, oh.
Really?
Yes.
Hi, Tracy. You have a great story. Thank you.
I look forward to reading your book and seeing you on Oprah.
You? Yes. Thank you.
Blessed that I had the opportunity to sit under your voice.
Oh my goodness.
I think Cathrine is very inspirational. If she can do what she did in her life, I am confident that I can do the same.
It's so inspirational. I feel like I can do stuff now.
That's what it's all about.
It's just incredible, and I want everybody to hear these stories, which is why I brought my daughter.
It was awesome, very inspiring. She inspired me to do better and have a better life and do good and look positive at things.
Hey Linda, we want Cathrine to come back. She inspired a lot of young ladies. It was real down to earth. People could relate to your story.
Your story really touched me.
Aww.
I just heard one of the most amazing inspirational speeches, and I just hope that more people get to hear her story.
Just want to say this is awe-inspiring. I'm going to cry now.
You were so wonderful. I was just sobbing, and I was like, oh, my makeup. Not that I wear makeup. So.
And generally, things stayed as bad as they ever were, except that I met my present husband, Mark. I knew when I first saw Mark that my life was going to change for the better, but I didn't know exactly how. But I wasn't completely cured of my evil ways yet, because when I met Mark, I told him I was a doctor. I still had that pager, right? So I had to explain that. I told him if he believed in me, we could go on to make millions and millions of dollars and have an incredible life together. And eventually, he started to believe me. I started to believe myself. And he accepted me exactly the way I was. He was thrown into a crazy life with me, and I always expected that he would never stick around. But I told him that if he did, I could promise him that he would never be bored a day in his life. And I think I've lived up to those expectations. So now, Mark has quit his job, and he's waiting to see exactly how we're going to make these millions and millions of dollars. And while he waits, we both become homeless, and we have 3 dogs now. But he never lost faith in me or my desire to change my life for the better, even though our new home was Mark's truck. I applied to the government training program, and I was accepted. I didn't miss one class, even though on my first day I was homeless. And that government training program was the first thing that I ever completed my entire life. After graduating, I went to the bank with my business plan in hand. That business plan was rock solid. I knew about my competitors, what percentage of the market I wanted, what niche I would specialize in, and exactly how I would do it better than any of my competitors. I even had $85,000 in revenue generated before I finished that program, and that, ladies and gentlemen, was 16 years ago. The bank said that it was one of the best business plans they'd ever seen. I said, oh my goodness, great. So you're going to give me a line of credit then? And they said, no, but it's a really, really, really good business plan. Me, Mark, and my son moved into a run-down dive of a house, and Consumer Connection was born. The first 3 weeks we were there, 2 men broke into the house, but we had nothing to steal, and we actually saw them run in, stay a little bit, and run out empty-handed. We got a table and chairs from the dump, and we sat around that table every day taking turns making sales calls. And I had this great idea. I made a tape of recording phones in the background, phones ringing, and I used to play that tape when we made our sales calls, so people would hear our phones ringing in the background. And I was sure they'd say, oh my goodness, that's such a huge company with getting all those phone calls in, we really want to work with them, they're so big. All night, we faxed information to businesses all across North America. There was no time for sleep or socializing. And I had a million reasons to quit and run. But this time, I didn't.
Making me shine, don't tell me to run. I know I'm strong in the dark. I show no fear, I cry no tears. This is the last time I'm telling you. I shine brighter. This is the last time I'm telling you. With my wings, I fly
I had to think of lots of ways to be different from my competitors. I not only had to get myself in the race, but I had to cross the finish line. I needed to get rid of all the negative distractions in my life, all the bad influences, people, situations, even family members. Whatever it was that either challenged my plans and ideas, or drained my energy and focus, or prevented me from getting ahead in life, had to go. And we did go on to make millions of dollars, just like I promised Mark that we could. And the only place where dreams are impossible is in your own mind. So I encourage you to dream lofty dreams, because as you dream, you create a vision. And your vision is a promise of what you will be one day. My mantra is dream it, believe it, be it. And you are more than welcome to use it as your own.